Okay, we are recording. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear that in the background. I'm at my house and they are remodeling our bathroom. So hopefully it shouldn't be too bad, but if it is, I apologize. So to get started, I will introduce myself. I am Allie Armstrong, and I know some of you I've met delivering bags to your houses, or if I haven't met you this summer, I will meet you in person later. I'm going to be traveling with you guys a little bit. But I am Miss Armstrong. You can also call me Miss Allie, either way. I am a senior in college. I have one semester left and I am an English major. So that's why I'm teaching your English language arts class. So I don't know how many of you like to read or enjoy English, but this is going to be a very literature-based class. As you've already seen, you should have gotten 2 books. Did everybody get these books? If you didn't, put it in the chat so I can write it down, okay? But everybody should have gotten both of these books. So that's what we're going to be focusing on in this class, is reading. And so that's pretty exciting. I've chosen 2 authors, Edgar Allan Poe and Shirley Jackson, that I think are going to be really interesting. They are not kind of your typical authors. They write a little darker, mysterious style of literature. So I'm hoping that this is something that you guys will look forward to reading and actually enjoy reading. The point of this course and specifically is that you guys are engaged and participating as we go throughout. So I wanted to choose authors and stories that would lend itself to you being interested in reading it and participating in class. So going along with that, I know that not everyone likes to participate for one reason or another, but I want to give you guys some motivation because it helps me out a lot when you guys participate, because a class is much more interesting when it's not just an hour of me talking to you guys. I think it's much more fun if we have students engaged in talking. So I want to motivate you guys to participate. So how I'm going to do that is every single class. So we'll start this next week, but every single class, if you participate, every time you participate, so let's say you add something to the class 3 times, your name, I'm going to write it down 3 times or 4 times or however many times you participate. And at the end of the summer, I will draw a name and you will win a gift card. Okay. So if you don't participate at all or once or twice the whole summer, your name's either not going to be entered or only entered a couple times. But if you participate every day, maybe sometimes a couple times a class period, you will have a much better chance of winning. Okay. So hopefully that gives you some motivation if you're not already the type of person that likes to talk in class. I want this to be very interactive. I'm going to let you guys, as long as it's quiet where you're at, you can turn your mics on and you can chat back and forth with me. That does not bother me at all. You don't even have to, raise your hand. If you have something to say, I am very interested to hear it. So as we go through these stories this semester, or this summer, I guess, I want you guys to be engaged. So even if it's just a question, maybe you have a different way you could see the plot going, or something you want to point out about a character. I really want to hear your thoughts. And so I want you guys to really read these stories. None of them are very long, okay? I think the longest amount of reading you'll have at one time is 10 pages, which I don't know if that seems like a lot, but it's really not bad. And that's a full story. And that is the lottery, which is really interesting. So I'm hoping, oh, we have another in the waiting room. I'm hoping that you guys will find these stories interesting. And once you read, I think you will have things to contribute to the class. So I really want to encourage you guys to do that. So Kaylee, I know you just got on, but I was just talking about if you participate in class, each time you participate, your name will be put in a hat. And at the end of the summer, I'll draw a name and that person will win a gift card. So the more you contribute to class, the better your chances of winning are. Okay. So now I have introduced myself. I want to get to know you guys a little better. So what we're going to do, and this is also how I'm going to take attendance today. So what we'll do is we will start at the top row. I'll call your name, but when I call your name, I just want you to say what grade you're in. And if you have a favorite book, tell me your favorite book. If not, you can say your favorite movie or something like that. But if you have a favorite book, go for that. So let's start with Petra and take it away, sister.
Okay, so I just finished a sophomore. I'm being a junior, and my favorite book is The Gruffalo.
All right, good job. Someone's audio is lagging. Oh no, I'm sorry, Erica. Hopefully it picks up soon. Okay, thank you, Petra. Next, let's go with Michaela.
Hi, everyone. My name is Michaela. I just finished my freshman year and I'm going to be a sophomore, and I do not have a favorite book.
Do you have a favorite movie?
No, I don't like TV. I don't like movies.
Okay, that's okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Malia.
I'm Malia Bradwell. I just finished freshman year. I'm going to, sophomore year. And I don't have a particular favorite book, but my favorite series is the Twilight series.
Okay, cool. Good,
yes.
Good. Okay, Paisley.
Paisley, I just finished my freshman year of high school. My favorite book is Salt to the Sea by Rita Sepetys, I think.
Oh, cool. I've never heard of that one. How many of you guys like reading? Do you guys like to read or not really? No? Yes? Okay, well, good. I'm glad some of you do. Okay, thank you, Paisley. Let's go with Akara. If you want to type yours in the chat, that's fine, or if you want to use your audio. Well, okay, we'll go with Erica for now. Oh, here she goes. Her favorite movie is The Greatest Showman. She just sent me a message in the chat. She is in a car and she said it's kind of loud. So Akara's favorite movie is The Greatest Showman. Okay, Erica.
I'm Eric.
Well, Erica, it's not giving us any sound. If you want to type it in the chat, you can. Okay. Okay, we'll just go to the next. Okay, Logan. She doesn't have a favorite movie or book. Okay, Logan, what is your grade and what's your favorite book or movie? Logan, are you on here? Ask him. Well,
I'm going to 9th and I don't have a favorite movie or book.
what'd you say?
I'm going to 9th and I don't have a favorite movie or book.
Okay, going into 9th. Okay, let's go with Charles.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I am going to be a freshman, and I don't really read or watch movies much, but my favorite movie is Clue.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And then Kaylee. Are you on here, Kaylee?
She sent it to the chat.
Oh, she sent it to the chat. She is a junior and her favorite books are mystery books. Some of her favorite Netflix series are Good Girls, The Fosters, and Anne with an E. Okay, perfect. I have not seen any of those, but maybe I'll have to check them out. Okay, let's go with, is it Needy?
It's Nady.
Nady. Okay. What grade are you in and what is your favorite book or movie?
I am going to be a freshman. I don't really have a favorite book, but I like movies that have horror or crime.
Okay, good. We have some horror and crime in our stories this this summer. So that should be good for you. Okay. And then Genesis, I know you just got on, but we are just asking everyone their grade and then your favorite book or movie. 10th grade and My Hero Academia Heroes Rising. Okay. I'm assuming is that a book? Do you guys, is that a book or a show?
Oh, it's an anime.
It's anime. Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. So now that we have kind of introduced each other, obviously, hopefully over the summer, we get to know more about one another, but that's a good like kind of starting point. I wanted to know like what you guys like to read. How many of you all are familiar with the Hunger Games? Like, do you guys read that or like it? Seen the movies maybe? Okay.
Yeah, I read all of them and I watched all the movies.
Yes, they are really good. And so good, I'm glad to see you guys have watched it. But one of our stories, actually the first one we're going to go over, there are a lot of comparisons you can draw between the lottery and the Hunger Games. Some of us have already read the lottery in class. Wow, you spent a month or two just on the lotteries. Well, that's good because you'll be able to contribute a lot in class then, right? So that's the first thing we're going to be reading actually, but that will be next week. So also I want to mention, I'm assuming you're all in the Google Classroom and have access to that, but starting Sunday, each Sunday, there'll be a new assignment up. So like for this past week, I think it just said introduction to authors. You didn't have any kind of assignment for today, but starting Sunday, each Sunday you'll get an assignment that's put up on the Google Classroom for this class. And it just tells you one assignment for the week. So let's see, you guys' classes are going to be on Tuesday, Friday, I think. And so either Tuesday or Friday, you have either day, but you just have one assignment for the week. Most of the time, I'm going to prefer if you have it by Tuesday, but if not, you have a chance on Friday to kind of do that assignment. And that assignment on there's nothing you have to turn in, but it just kind of lets you know what we're going to be discussing in class and kind of gives you a prompt of things to write down. So then when we get to class and I ask if anybody has anything to share or what they thought of the story, you can just pull out what you already wrote down. And that way, even if you read it a couple days ago, you have kind of your thoughts on a piece of paper. So that will be starting this Sunday. You'll see your first assignment come on there. It has to do with the lottery. I'll talk about it a little more later on. But that should come up on Sunday. So be checking that. You probably are aware that you should check that pretty regularly. But I just wanted to let you guys know that will be on there. So I'm going to start talking about our authors. So today is just about introductions. I wanted to introduce myself, have you guys introduce yourselves, and now we're going to introduce our authors. So like I said, I have chosen two authors that I think are very interesting. We have Poe and Jackson. And if you know anything about either of them, you know that they are very interesting people. So first we're going to start with Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm just going to give you some facts about him, and then we're going to watch a video on his life, and then I have a pretty fun activity for you guys to do. So first thing about Poe is he's fairly creepy. I would say he married his 13-year-old cousin when he was 27. Okay, so he's not extremely ethical or moral, and I think we could say probably kind of creepy. He was the first person to ever coin the term short story, which is kind of funny because we're very familiar with that today. It's a word we use pretty often, but he was the first one to say, no, this isn't a book. This is a short story because it wasn't long enough to be considered a book. So that was Poe that started using that. Another interesting thing about him is his most famous poem, you guys probably know, is The Raven. And the Baltimore Ravens were actually named after that piece of literature. So that is the only sports team to ever be named after a piece of literature. So that's pretty interesting because he was that influential that it transcended just education or academic journals. It kind of went into the realm of sports and popular culture. So that's something interesting to know about Poe, is that although he was a poet, he was known in households, even people that didn't care that much about poetry or more into sports. The Raven specifically was that influential. The death of Edgar Allan Poe, and you'll hear about this in the video, but his death still remains a mystery, which is pretty consistent with how his life was. A lot of things about him were a mystery. A lot of things were kind of strange. And so it only makes sense, right, that his death would come in the same manner. So very interesting guy. And I'm going to show you guys a video. So bear with me. Paisley, I just saw your chat. That's very interesting. I want to read some of your poetry sometime. I'm going to share my screen, and you guys are just going to have to bear with me because sometimes it takes me a minute, okay, to get this figured out. Do not want that. Here we go. And hopefully you guys can hear this. Can you guys hear that? Okay.
Edgar Allan Poe was a master of the macabre. He wrote horror, he wrote poetry, criticism, fiction, mystery. He was a master of suspense.
Edgar Allan Poe, called by many the father of the detective story, was born on January 19, 1809, in Boston, Massachusetts.
When Poe was 2 years old, his mother passed away, and his father had already abandoned the family. He was taken in as a foster child by the Allan family.
He was writing poetry from about the time that he was 13. He kept writing all the time. He worked very, very hard at his writing and wrote constantly.
In 1826, Poe enrolled at the University of Virginia. He went into debt. He gambled to try to pay off those debts and found himself in even greater debt and ultimately had to withdraw from the university. In 1830, Poe enrolled at West Point.
After West Point, Poe turned to writing full-time and lived in a number of East Coast cities before settling down in Richmond, Virginia.
Edgar Allan Poe secretly married his 13-year-old cousin, and then in 1836, publicly married her in a more open ceremony.
He loved her very, very much. They lived together always until, alas, she died of tuberculosis when she was, I guess, around 20.
Poe's primary occupation as a writer was as a literary critic. He worked at several newspapers and literary magazines, and he had quite a reputation for being a harsh critic. One of his editors called him the Tomahawk Man. During his lifetime, he barely made a living from his writing.
Poe published some of his most famous short stories in his 1840 collection, Tales of the Grotesque and Arabesque.
He wrote some of his stories using the first person and talking about the use of opium, so people assumed that he dabbled in drugs. The stories were so creepy. They were ghost stories taken to such a brilliant extreme that people thought he had to be a little strange himself.
Poe invented detective fiction when he wrote The Murders in the Rue Morgue in 1841.
Murders in the Rue Morgue really deserves to be called the first detective story. It started the whole tradition of detective fiction.
The Raven, which was published in 1845, was his huge breakthrough. It became a big bestseller.
Poe's career very much went up and down until he really hit The Raven. And that poem was known by, it seems everyone in the world. It had an enormous press.
On October 7, 1849, Edgar Allan Poe died at the age of 40 under mysterious circumstances.
Poe's death may be one of the most bizarre things about his life. He left Virginia on his way to New York, disappeared. A week later, he was found on the streets of Baltimore.
We don't have a single piece of information about what he was doing. At the end of that week, he was found in a tavern, ill, drunk, and was taken to a hospital.
It turned out he was wearing clothes that didn't belong to him, and a couple of days later, he died in a delirium. Nobody knows exactly what killed him. Edgar Allan Poe's legacy in American literature is very detectable in all of the mystery dramas and stories we have, and all the kind of horror and vampire work that we see, that there is that trace of the sort of horror and mystery that Poe really was able to harness in his writing.
Poe is an American icon. I think he's more than a writer.
Even today, more than 150 years after he died, everybody loves Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay. So let me close this because see, now it's going to start going over here. I'm telling you guys what. Okay, so another interesting thing, I want to tell you about this before the video, but I forgot. Poe, even though he was so well known and really popular, like a lot of people bought his books and his poems and things like that, he really struggled throughout his entire life to make ends meet. So he was not very good with his money. Like they said, he might have dabbled in drugs. He might have spent a lot of his money on women, things like that, but he did not have a very wealthy life, even though he's someone that is so well known and someone that really was extremely, probably the most popular man of his day. And these days, you know, if someone is popular, we assume that they are wealthy because we pay money for entertainment and we pay money to authors and actresses and actors and things like that. But at that time, being famous was not necessarily synonymous with being wealthy. And Edgar Allan Poe is a really good example of that because he's someone that was wildly popular during its time. He is still very popular today, and his life was not one of exorbitance and wealth. It was just kind of a simple life that a lot of times he really struggled just to get through, you know, from paycheck to paycheck. So that is Edgar Allan Poe. Now, I wanted to read you an excerpt from his poem, Annabel Lee. So this is a very famous poem of his, and it's said to have possibly been written about his cousin that he married. But regardless if it was her or someone else, this was a woman that he was very much in love with. So I'm going to read you an excerpt from the poem and listen as I read this, okay? It says, "Our love, it was stronger by far than the love of those who were older than we, of many far wiser than we. And neither the angels in heaven above, nor the demons down under the sea, can ever dissever my soul from the soul of the beautiful Annabel Lee. For the moon never beams without bringing me dreams of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And the stars never rise, but I feel the bright eyes of the beautiful Annabel Lee. And so all the night tide I lie down by the side of my darling, my life and my bride, in her sepulchre there by the sea, in her tomb by the sounding sea." So even though he was an author that wrote a lot of creepy things, like we'll see later on, and ghost stories and mysteries and murder, he also is capable of writing these love ballads. And so there has been a comparison made lately, and I think it's kind of funny, but people will say, who said this, Edgar Allan Poe or Ed Sheeran? So I found an activity, and I want you guys, if you can, unmute yourselves, and I'm going to share my screen again, and we're going to go through this. So you don't have to raise your hand, just talk out if you think this was Sheeran or Poe. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again, and I will pull this up for you guys. Okay, this is what it is. Okay, can you guys see that?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, here we go. So number one, here is the quote. "I scarcely have had time for cares." Do you think this is Poe or Sheeran? What do you guys think?
Sheeran.
Sheeran?
Yeah.
Ed
Yeah.
Sheeran? Okay.
Sharon.
This one is
Me.
Poe.
Oh.
Poem Romance. Okay. The next
Okay.
one, number two. "Watch the flames burn auburn on the mountainside. Desolation comes upon the sky."
Sharon.
Sharon.
Sheeran.
Sharon.
Ed Sheeran, "I See Fire." Okay. The next one is "Through my silent screams, things aren't what they seem."
Poe.
Poe?
Poe. Sharon.
Sharon? Let's see. Ed
Said
Sheeran,
his
Quiet
name.
Ballad of Ed. So the last time I went through this, I was like, I did not realize how many songs that Ed Sheeran had to know about. Number four, "All that we see or seem is but a dream within a dream."
Sheeran.
Sharon.
Oh. Yeah.
This one is Poe.
Ooh.
"A dream within a dream." Okay. Number five, "Calling out across the line all the voices in my mind."
Poe.
Poe?
Poe.
Ed Sheeran.
Ooh.
Oh man. Okay, we gotta do better. Number
Yeah.
6, "Leave my loneliness unbroken."
Sharon. Sharon.
Sheeran.
Oh.
Oh man. Okay. Number 7. Stronger than anyone I know, she shares my dreams. This is a popular one.
Sharon.
Do you guys know this song?
Sharon.
Sharon?
Yes, Ed Sheeran. Okay. Number
Oh
8.
yeah, we know that song.
She lived with no other thought than to love and be loved by me.
Poe.
Oh,
Sharon.
Poe. That one's from the poem that I read you, but we didn't read that part. Number 9. Voices speak through my walls.
Poe.
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 I knew it.
Okay, next is number 10. Another tear, another cry, another place for us to die.
Oh,
Poe.
Sharon.
What? Sharon?
Autumn leaves.
it seems like some of us go opposite of everybody else.
These are harder than I thought. When I found this, I was like, these are going to be easy, but they're not really. These were days when my heart was volcanic.
Sharon.
Oh.
Poe.
Poe.
Yes.
Okay, number 12. I gazed a while on her cold smile.
I hope Poe.
Poe, yeah.
Poe, Evening Star. Number 13. Sending letters, we shall converse.
Sharon.
Poe.
Oh,
Poe.
Sharon.
Sharon.
she is good, man.
14.
The ones that are creepy has to be Sharon. The ones that are less creepy have to be Poe. That's like the stuff.
His eyes have all the scheming of a demon that is dreaming.
Poe.
Sharon.
Poe.
Poe.
Yeah.
And every day that Satan tempts me, I try to take it in my stride.
Sharon.
Poe.
Sharon.
No. I'm not good at this.
And
Whoopsie
all
daisy.
I loved alone.
Poe.
Poe.
Poe. All the heavens seem to twinkle.
Turn on that.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Poe.
Poe. Your soul can never grow old.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Poe.
Sharon.
Oh, Sharon.
Oh my gosh.
Years I left behind me in an hour.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Yeah, Sharon. Sharon.
Poe.
Oh,
Oh,
gosh.
never mind.
Number 20. Yet if hope has flown away in a night or in a day.
Poe.
Poe.
Oh.
Sharon.
Poe. A dream within a dream. Okay. 21. My heart would play the role.
Sharon.
Oh.
Sharon.
Sharon. Next. At midnight in the month of June, I stand beneath the mystic moon.
Sharon.
A Poe.
Poe.
Poe. 23. My symphony played the song that carried you out.
Sharon.
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 Yes, Sharon. She is the lighthouse in the night that will safely guide me home.
Oh.
Oh.
Poe.
Poe. Sharon.
But the fact is, I was napping.
Poe.
Sharon.
Poe.
Poe. 26. For that bright hope at last and that light time have passed.
Sharon.
Sharon.
Poe.
Okay.
All right. That is all for that one. And now, oh, did someone put something in the chat? I've gotten all but 2 right. Well, good job.
Good job, Paisley.
So let me just stop sharing. There we
I
go.
turned my thingy off.
Okay, so now we are going to talk about our other author, which is Shirley Jackson. How many of you are familiar with her? I know some of you said that you've already read The Lottery. Who else is from New Madrid that's already?
What class did y'all read it in?
Miss Martindale. You didn't
Oh,
have
I don't
her.
have her.
Okay.
We did it in Miss Wren's class in 7th grade.
We read a little bit in Miss Martindale's class.
So just Paisley has read is the one that spent the longest on it. Okay, so we're talking about Shirley Jackson. She is also a very interesting woman. She's from California and very complicated relationship with her parents, specifically her mom. She was very into witchcraft. She started getting into that when she was in college and continued like basically through the rest of her life. She said she did not believe in ghosts, but she was very interested. There was even a time where she claimed to be a witch herself. And so she's a very interesting lady. Kind of surprisingly, I guess, she was a very good mother. She wanted to make up for her own mom's mistakes and failings. And so she was a good mother to her children. However, it's been said that she did would sing them like creepy lullabies instead of traditional ones before she sent them to bed or things like that. So she was definitely a different type of mom, but it said that she was a good mom. She took care of her kids. Her husband actually married her after reading one of her poems. He read it and thought it was so brilliant that he said, I have to meet this woman. I'm going to marry her. And he did. He married Shirley Jackson and they had children, and he was married to her until she died, I believe. And so turned out to be a successful marriage. She was a good mother, but she was just a very interesting author. And so if you read The Lottery, you kind of have an idea of the type of author she was. We're going to read another work by her that's also very interesting. She just kind of wanted to scare people a little bit. And so that is what she aimed to do in a lot of her writings. And so just like we did with Poe, I'm going to pull up a video. Now this video is made by, let me pull it up. Just a guy on YouTube. It's not like as probably professional as the other one, but I think it's some interesting facts that you guys would like to know. So let me share my screen again. Okay. Now you guys can see. Here we go.
Hi guys, Dane here, and welcome to another episode of 5 Bookish Facts. Today, we're going to be looking at 5 facts about Shirley Jackson. And yes, this is the only thing of hers that I've read, but it'll do. All right, let's go. Hi guys, Dane here, and welcome to another episode of 5 Bookish Facts. Today, we're taking a look at 5 facts about Shirley Jackson. And this was requested by Sue's Book Nook. So thank you, Sue. Without further ado, let's go. So fact number 1 is that Jackson had a huge library of witchcraft books. She actually got interested in it in her early years at college and pretty much studied it for the rest of her life. She kind of, you can kind of see this influence in a lot of her books, including in Life Among the Savages. So there are references to historical witchcraft chronicles and manuals, that sort of thing. She actually liked to joke about her skills as a witch and spread the rumor that she had caused publisher Alfred A. Knopf to break his leg. She also used to read tarot cards for her friends and family. And the copy on the jacket for The Road Through the Wall described her as perhaps the only contemporary writer who is a practicing amateur witch. Okay, fact number 2 is that despite this, she didn't believe in ghosts. I mean, she was intrigued by the occult. She found it really fascinating, but she said she'd never had a supernatural experience. She based The Haunting of Hill House, which is arguably her most famous book, on historical accounts of haunted houses, pictures she collected, that kind of thing. One of the books that she most admired was An Adventure, which was an account about 2 British women of an experience that they had when they accidentally stumbled upon a scene in the past. And she was also inspired by accounts of poltergeists. Okay, so fact number 3 is that her famous short story, The Lottery, was published in June the 26th, 1948 issue of The New Yorker. And it actually caused a lot of readers to cancel their subscriptions because they were so angry of it. The country of South Africa banned the story altogether, which Jackson thought was a compliment. And a lot of people thought that the lottery was a factual report. So she received hundreds of letters from New Yorker subscribers who were bewildered, full of speculation, and some of them just wrote plain old-fashioned abuse. She said she was most alarmed by the letters from people who wanted to know where the lotteries were still held and whether they could go to watch them. This might sound crazy, but actually at the time, the New Yorker didn't differentiate between fictitious stories and the genuine stories. And quite a lot of the stories inside it kind of fell somewhere between fact and fiction. Fact number 4 is that she treated her moods as though they were each different persona, and she even gave them names. So she kept different diaries, all with her own style and different unique voice in them. But she also did the same with her moods. She kept them separate under different personas. It's a lot like her novel The Bird's Nest, which is a book about a woman's mind which fractures into multiple personalities. So in her own mind, her moods were distinct and very different. There's a quote here that goes, Jackson took the unusual step of assigning names to her moods as if they were characters in a play. There was Irish, Jackson's happiest persona, and one that her husband would later call her by as a pet name. But there was also Harlequin, Villain, and Pan, all parts of her that she identified as different aspects of the composite whole. And fact number 5 is that she was never particularly interested in domestic duties, and she enjoyed writing, and she described it as the only time I ever get to sit down. So there we go. There we have it. There were 5 bookish
So
facts
that
about Shirley
is
Jackson. Don't forget to let me know
Shirley
in the comments if you have
Jackson.
requests for any
Oh
future
my.
episodes.
Let me
Hit that
get
like
this
button
to
if you've
shut
enjoyed
up.
this video.
Sorry, guys. So that's Shirley Jackson, and she is going to be the first author that we study. So we're going to start with the lottery, like I've said, and I wanted to go ahead and kind of explain to you guys what's going to be on the assignment. So this is what I plan to do each week. Your assignments will always come live on Sundays, but I would like to give you guys a heads up the class before. So that's one benefit to coming to class like you're supposed to. Obviously, it's tied to your stipends and things like that. But if you want to get a head start on assignments, so you're not finding out about them on Sundays, each class, I will be telling you what to expect, in the near future. So for your first assignment, you're going to be reading the lottery, and this will be on the Google Classroom. So you don't have to write it down, but you can if you want to. You're going to be reading the lottery, which is pages 291 through 302. It's the very back of this book. Okay, so you're going to be reading that. Now, this is where your assignment comes in. This story kind of starts without much background. And so your assignment this time is going to be to write 3 to 5 sentences about what you think the background of the lottery could be. So you can write this in the style of as if you are Shirley Jackson and you're just writing the story from an earlier point, or you can kind of just summarize what you think might have led up to this point in time. But because it does kind of start unsuspectedly in the middle of the story, I want you guys to think creatively and think about what could have led up to the lottery, this particular event. Now, it can be as silly or as serious as you want, okay? I want you guys to have fun with this. And a lot of your assignments this summer are going to be very flexible. So if you want to write something super serious that, seems like it could be published, that's fine. Or if you want to write something kind of silly, as long as you are doing something, I'm going to be okay with it, okay? Now, this is not an assignment where you're having to type this out on a Word document and submit it. I just want you to write down, you can type it if you want, but have that with you when you come to class on Tuesday. So if you don't have it Tuesday, that's okay. You can, show it to me on Friday, but we're going to discuss on Tuesday what you guys wrote. And so that's going to be a big part of your participation. Okay. So that's why I say those assignments will really give you a heads up. So you're not coming to class like, what do I say? You will know, because if you write 3 to 5 sentences like you're supposed to, then on Tuesday, when I say, Paisley, what did you write? You can just pull out your sheet of paper or open your Word document and say, this is what I wrote, and we can discuss it. Okay. So that is the point of your first assignment. So not super hard. My suggestion to you, if 10 pages or 11 pages seems like a lot, break it down into, you know, a couple pages a day. Even you can break it down to 1 page by lunch and 1 page by dinner, whatever you need to do. But I really am going to encourage you guys to read. The class will mean a lot more to you if you know what the heck is going on. So if you come to class each time and you haven't read anything and you don't know what's going on, you're going to be bored in class. I can guarantee you that. But if you come to class Tuesday and you have read the lottery and you've written down a few sentences about what you think could have led up to it, when you come to class and we start talking about it, you'll understand what's going on. And then it's much more enjoyable than if I'm talking for an hour about something that you have no idea what's going on with. Okay. So I'm really going to encourage you guys each time there's an assignment, and this is the longest reading assignment I'm going to give you. Okay. So it's never going to be more than 10 pages. I think the next one is a Poe story, and it's like, okay, first of all, these are tiny pages, but 5 or 6 of these pages, which on an actual sheet of paper would maybe be 2 or 3. So not long assignments that I'm asking of you guys, but they are interesting stories. So do the reading, do the assignments, and then when you come to class, it'll be a lot better. So does anyone have questions for me regarding your first assignment? No questions? Okay. So that should not be too hard. If you have a question, you can put it in Remind. I'm on there, just under my name, Allie Armstrong, or you can email me. It's just allie.armstrong@murraystate.edu, whatever you need to do, but there's ways to get in contact with me. Probably Remind is the easiest. So you guys can just send me a message on there if you end up having a question. Let's see, what does this say? So we are reading the first 10 pages and answering the question about what we think it will be about. Well, it's not the first 10 pages. The whole story is only 10 pages, or 11 pages, maybe. It's pages 291 through page 302. So you're going to read that. And then the assignment, which will be on the Google Classroom on Sunday. But the assignment is that you write what you think the background of the lottery would be. So this story starts kind of in the middle. And so you're going to fill in the blanks for me, essentially. So it can be serious, it can be silly, but you're going to write 3 to 5 sentences, more if you would like, but at least 3 sentences about the background of the lottery. Okay. Does that answer your question? Who was that? Kaylee, I think. Yeah, 291 through 302. So not too bad. Any other questions about that assignment? Let me see. Okay. And then the other thing, okay, so this time next week, so next Friday, we're going to be going over the lottery again. Like we're going to split it into 2 days. And the second day we talk about it, we are going to be drawing some comparisons from the Hunger Games to the lottery. So if you are not familiar with the Hunger Games, I'm not expecting you to read all the books or watch all the movies by Friday, but I would encourage you to maybe just skim over what the idea of it is. The books and movie are really good. So if you want to, by all means, go for it, but you don't have to do all that. But I do think it would be helpful if by next Friday you had some kind of an idea. We will go over it and you will be able to understand pretty well, even if you're not familiar, but I think you might enjoy it more if you knew what the Hunger Games was about and just kind of the premise. So I wanted to let you guys know about that. So if you're interested in learning more about the Hunger Games or whatever before we talk about it in class, you can go ahead and get a head start on that. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to do is for those of you that are not on the Zoom right now. So if you're on the Zoom right now, we've already marked you for attendance, but if you are watching this as a recording later on, I'm going to give you kind of an assignment so that we know that you have watched the recording. So if you're watching the recording, send to me either on Remind or on the Google Classroom 1 fact about Poe and one about Jackson. And it needs to be a fact that we discussed in class, either me or on the video. That way we know that you have watched this recording. So if you are not watching this live, you're watching this back as a recording, and I don't have your name marked for attendance, the only way that we can know for sure that you watch this Zoom is if you answer that question for me. So I'm on Remind. You can email it to me. I'll put my email where I put this recording. But you need to, at some point, let me or Amy or Tammy know an interesting fact about Poe that we talked about this hour, and one fact about Jackson. Okay. So does anybody on here right now have any other questions for me about the class or your reading or anything like that? No? Okay. If that is the case, then I will let you guys go. So you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you back on Tuesday. Okay. Bye, guys. Do you have to log in Sunday? Not that I know of. Definitely not for this class. See ya.